If you're looking to take a break from the boring factory-style headlights in your 05 to 09 Mustang, then you might want to consider the Axial Smoked options here, loaded with the CCFL Halos. Now, these DOT-approved lights will combine the very aggressive smoke lens along with that bright white CCFL Halo ring, all for right around that $200 price point for the pair. Now, installation will involve the smallest bit of wiring here in order to get everything up and running, so therefore the site is going to nudge this one up to a soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and take you about an hour or so to knock out from start to finish. And if you guys are curious about what kind of wiring is involved, just hang with me for a bit and we'll walk you through the job later in the video. So the Axials that we have here will feature a 2-pronged approach to spicing up the headlights on that early S197. Now, first and foremost, you're getting that smoke lens, right? Now, I don't have to tell you guys that smoke lights and Mustangs just go together perfectly, and by itself, this feature will be enough to radically change up the appearance of the front end alone. But then factor in the CCFL Halos, and that officially takes these lights from mild to wild, which some owners might like, others maybe not so much. Now, if you are into this look, here's what you guys can expect. A bright white halo or ring that's going to illuminate here around the headlight bulb or reflector area when those parking lights are switched on. And that halo is going to remain on even when your headlights are switched on. And hey, if you really want to make a statement, then you might want to consider pairing these up with a CCFL fog light option, which we do have a few here on the site to choose from as well. Now, as far as your actual bulbs here with the Axials, well, guess what? They do kick in a brand new set of dual element H13 style bulbs, but if you do have a little bit of worry about light output shining through those dark smoke lenses, well, that's something you can always upgrade down the road to something brighter, such as an LED option or something similar. Now, also, quick heads up, guys, these things have been both DOT and SAE approved, meaning they are legal for use in all 50 states, and again, are sold in sets of 2. But now let's segue into the installation as promised earlier, and honestly, this one won't be too bad even given the small amount of wiring needed. But as always, to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, here's that detailed walkthrough along with your quick tool breakdown.
The tools used for this install are 1/4-inch ratchet, cordless impact driver, 10mm socket, 5.5mm socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a clip removal tool. So the first step of this install is going to be to get underneath the hood and to remove the radiator cover at the top in order to get access to the screws and bolts necessary for removing the front bumper. Next, I'm going to use a clip tool to remove the push pins that hold the rad cover down. Now I'm going to use a 10mm socket to remove these 2 upper bumper bolts. As you can see, I removed the front wheel to gain access to the inner fender liner. I did this to get access to these 3 screws and these 3 clips that hold the fender liner in the front to the bumper, so I can peel this back and get access to the bolts behind it. Now that I've peeled back my fender liner, I can get access to these 2 10mm nuts on the back of the bumper. I can also get to my 2 plugs that are a little further in. Now I'm going to repeat that same process on the driver's side. Before I can remove the bumper, I'm going to pull the 3 bolts at the back of the belly pan so that I can remove everything all at once. With everything unbolted, I can remove my front bumper assembly, but while I do so, I have to make sure that I either unplug or unclip my fog lights from the light bulbs themselves. There are 3 bolts that hold the headlights to the vehicle. There are 2 at the bottom and 1 at the top. I'm going to use a 10mm socket to remove those 3 bulbs and then unplug the connectors from the back. In order to make the halos for these headlights work, I'm going to need to tap into the running light circuit. I peeled back the looming on the running light wires, and I'm going to tap my power into the red and white wire on the driver's side and the black wire also on the driver's side. I'll use the provided vampire clips to tap into those 2 circuits before I install my headlights. Now I'll just install my power wire for my halo into the factory power wire for the running light and use the vampire clip to close them together. And then I will repeat this with the ground wire. Now I can peel the double stick tape on the back of the resistor block for the headlights and stick it to my inner frame rail before I make my headlight connection and reinstall the new headlight. And now I'm going to repeat the process on the passenger side and make the same electrical connections I did on the driver's side. Now I've got all my electrical connections made, and I tested my lights before I go to throw my front bumper back on to make sure that everything works before I button it up. Make sure that you plug your fog lights back in before you install your bumper. Once the bumper's in, you will not be able to access the fog light bulbs. And that's going to wrap up this review and install for the Axial Smoked Headlights with Halos for your 05 to 09 Mustang. Thanks for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.